I am thrilled today to have Alex Dumas as my guest here on the Power Transformation Podcast. Welcome, Alex.
Yeah, there you go. I got to be the cheerleader for me. No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Alethea. It's exciting that we're finally having this conversation. The world gets to hear it.
It is. It definitely is exciting, and the world gets to hear it, see it, but the world is really seeing you because you are doing it up huge with a lot of things in your life that we're going to talk about later. But let's start with just a fun, lighthearted question, Alex. And so that question for you is you appear on camera. I haven't met you in person, but you appear on camera to be healthy. However, when you were growing up, what was your favorite like junk food?
Oh gosh. This is gonna sound, this is not the typical thing. So my parents, they were they came to the United States from Haiti.
Oh,
And yeah, this is in the early 70s and
mhm.
had kids, met, fell in love, all that kind of stuff. The meal that I remember growing up loving the most is really rice and chicken and beans and peas. And my mom would, rest her soul, she would just always hook it up. So that's what I always look forward to. I mean, I love cookies and stuff like that, but like as far as things I could devour all day, like morning, noon, night, midnight snack.
That's healthy though. That's
It's
not bad.
it's
That's
not
not
really
bad
because
though.
because I overdo it. Right, my serving of rice. Right, if you look
Mhm.
at like, hey, it's only supposed to be a cup of rice, and
Yeah.
this and that, and it'll double up, like half a cup, and it'll make a full cup. I'm like pouring the whole packet.
Oh,
Like I need like if the pot's not filled up to the top, if it's not like
yes.
popcorn almost flowing over, then that's not real rice to me. It's gotta,
Oh my goodness. I see now.
yeah,
You
yeah, like
you
I'll go hard.
over indulged in what you
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
I got you. I
Yeah, to
got
this
you,
day, my
Alex.
wife and my kids will still make fun of me because they're like, "Oh my goodness, like keep the rice away from that," because I can go.
That is funny. That is so funny. And just a random question, but did you learn how to cook some of those foods that you indulged in growing up?
No,
You did?
I mean, not when I was younger. When I'm now older as a man, being on my own for
Yeah.
a number of years, being married and all that. Like,
Mm.
yeah, I do a lot of cooking around the house and barbecuing. But
Oh,
as a
okay.
kid, I know
You were
I
like,
was
no.
lucky if I could boil ramen noodles. Right, that was like the extent of it. Like everybody would always like kind of take care of me. I'm the baby. I hate to say this. I'm the youngest of the family, not the baby, the youngest.
You the baby. Stop. You the baby. No, I like your word. No, I say that because I'm the youngest also, so I understand. Yeah, I get it.
It's one of those like little I don't want to call it pet peeve, but right, one of those chips on the shoulder, like, oh, it's the baby. Like
Baby,
I'm a
exactly.
grown man, like I have a
You're a
family.
grown, exactly. A grown man with a whole wife and child
Yeah.
and family and everything else. I get
Yes.
it.
Oh, it's the
Bit
baby.
look, look. You don't have baby bills. You got grown up bills. So
Yeah, that's right. Right? When my knees are cracking in the morning, when I need some Motrin, my back is hurting, like that's not a baby back. That's grown folk back.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you so much for that, Alex. Thank you. And that gives us a little glimpse into who you are. But more importantly, Alex, if a person were to come to you and say, hey, I've heard about this man named
Hmm.
Alex Dumas, but they never saw your picture. They didn't know what you look like, but they heard things. They
Hmm.
might say, hey, I've heard about this man, Alex Dumas. What do you know about him? What would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say that this guy Alex here is just a complicated soul, as we
Mm,
all are. We all have our hero moments and the moments where we're less than at our best. And I've
mm,
been fortunate to live both of those realms of years of doubting myself, being resentful, mistrusting people, isolating myself from people. That's been one part of my life. Wearing a mask, consumed in a costume, as I like to call it, whether it's been drugs or other addictions, and kind of keeping myself at bay that way. And then this other side, this guy who's open, who's warm, who wants to support people, who wants to champion people, coach people,
Mhm.
speak, somebody who brings a lot of energy to any room, and someone who's interested in the betterment of humanity. So for someone hearing that or maybe meeting me for the first time, I think like, oh my goodness, that's complicated. That doesn't make sense. These are polar opposites. Like, well,
Mhm.
that's life, right? You can't have joy without pain. You can't have life without death. These things go together, and so that's the puzzle that is me. Someone who's had
Mhm.
opportunities, wasted them, taken advantage of opportunity of every advantage, and then other times being making sure that I'm looking out for people, that I'm uplifting people, that I'm using my voice, using my words to speak life into people versus speak death.
Mm. I love that layered answer. I do. And we're going to get more into your past in terms of things that you had to overcome, which led you into now. But just for clarity, if you were to tell someone what it is that you do, not necessarily who you are, but what
Mm.
you do, what would you say?
I just don't know. I'm a professional speaker.
Mhm.
My focus is helping leaders of color, Black, Indigenous people of color, BIPOC, if you want to shorten that up,
Mhm.
BIPOC individuals speak up and stand out and help them to drive lasting change in their organizations and in their personal lives as well.
That's right. And for people who are watching on YouTube as opposed to listening, they'll see that in your background, there is a book cover of you, Speak Up, Stand Out, that we'll talk about that as well as a QR code. But let's go back to this is what drove your passion specifically to focus on that target group or audience?
Well, for anyone who's not watching right now, surprise, surprise, spoiler alert, I'm a Black man. So if you're watching, you're like, oh man, it's like, how did this happen? No, like my mother's Black, my father's Black, like
Uh-huh.
that's how those things kind of happen. But um, I think it's just always been a part of me. My upbringing, I grew up in New York, and as we kind of alluded to before, I'm the youngest of four in my family, so I'm the youngest in the family. I like to say they saved the best for last. And
That's right. That's right.
but kind of going back to the complicated nature of life and who we are.
Mhm.
On one spectrum, I grew up in the typical like middle class family, right? You grew up in Long Island, suburbs, barbecues, pools, parties, all that kind of stuff. Um, they're relatively safe. I mean, my neighborhood was diverse.
Mm.
Grew up in a great place. And on the flip side, I also felt very alone, felt very isolated, felt like I couldn't connect, or I was always just out of step with people. Like, and I always find evidence, and I talked about that in a different book that I co-authored with some other authors. But I think that upbringing created this because I found myself being immersed in different cultures, hip hop, like R&B,
Mhm.
rock. Like I just had all these different influences, and yet I saw myself as somebody who didn't really belong, who didn't fit in.
Wow.
Felt as if I were an outsider.
Mhm.
And with that, that creates a lens, that creates a listening for either people being against me or how this is me perceiving it, like people
Yes.
against me, um not supporting me or not understanding me, and feeling upset about it, feeling like very charged and frustrated,
Mhm.
but also recognizing like, man, I want to help people. I have this innate, like, it's not something that I have to conjure up. It's like when I'm excited about something, when I want to help somebody, I go for it. I do it. It's kind of
Mhm.
impulsive. That's just how I roll. And to answer your question, kind of bottle this up, right? Land the plane. These influences have shaped me into listening of how to support people and serve people, and
Mhm.
particularly, you know, for people of color who here in the United States and in the Western world have been historically disadvantaged, have
Mhm.
disadvantages, all sorts of obstacles, but I'm also inspired by that by the strength it takes for generations to not quit, to not give up, to have hope. And I think that's the best gift that I can give somebody. And I've recognized for
Yeah.
myself is like if we lose hope, if we lose that spark inside, then we're in trouble. And I just want to
Yeah.
help fan that flame for people and
Hmm.
help it blaze into an inferno.
And you've certainly, Alex, had such a transformative evolution in your life. And when you spoke about when you were growing up, how there were certain moments of doubt, not having confidence, etc. Explain to us what specifically, if there's one thing in particular or a culmination of events, how did you merge into being that person, the one who lacked confidence, the one that didn't then know their influence or their impact? Take us there and explain to us how you became that boy at the time who wasn't really self-assured or confident.
Yeah, that's a great question. And one particular moment that comes to mind, I was probably around 6 years old, right? So first grade, this is late 80s, right? I'm dating myself right now. And
Mhm.
yeah, I remember just this day, it was a typical ordinary day, just nothing, nothing magical about it. I'm going around the house, just doing whatever a 6-year-old does, right? Just play with
Mhm.
toys, run, all that kind of stuff. And I came across this one family photo that has been I was in our sitting room. I probably passed by it like hundreds of times up to that point, but this is the thing about consciousness, right? When you're not aware of something, all of a sudden something catches your eye. Now you see it in a different way. And I looked at this picture. It's got my father, my mother, rest her soul, my older sister, and my older brothers. Letha, I told you I'm the youngest of four.
Mhm.
So something's not computing here. I'm like, wait a minute, there's three kids. I'm the youngest of four. I'm trying to understand, like, wait a minute, why am I not in this picture? And at that young age, I make a pretty definite conclusion that I'm not important enough to be in this picture.
Wow.
I'm not here. I don't exist. I'm invisible. Now, for someone watching, someone listening, I tell this story when I'm on stage. Someone could think, like, well, Alex, why don't you just ask your parents to take another photo? They would have done it, right?
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of a distinction right now between truth and facts. The truth I made up was like, I'm not important. I don't exist, Alethea. Like, why, why should I have to ask?
Mhm.
Right? This is like where the resentment comes in, where you're drinking the poison, hoping someone else to,
Yeah.
hoping for someone else to die, right? Shouldn't they know
Mhm.
that, right? They should know that I want to be in this picture. But if I'm
Mhm.
not speaking up for it, if I'm not even advocating for myself, I'm not even making them aware, then they're going through life and it's not like an intentional, all right, family, let's take the photo, put the baby carriage down and, and keep him out of the photo. The fact of the matter was, I just wasn't born yet.
That's
That's why I
right.
wasn't in the picture.
Uh-huh.
But these are how we distort things, right? One thing is a truth, is an emotional charge versus the objective fact of I'm not born yet. All we have to do is just go to like Walmart or CVS or something like that, take another family photo, problem done. 30 years of anxiety and frustration
Yeah.
and madness, for lack of a better word, done. But
Yeah.
that one moment, like it created this idea of this lens for me of, wow, I'm really not important. And I started looking for evidence everywhere. And when you go looking for what you want, or sometimes what you don't want, you're gonna find it. So I found it
Mhm.
within different elements of my family. Like, oh man, I don't connect here. I don't belong in this setting. Like I'm kind of like the wallflower, kind of like the black sheep, no pun intended, of this family. And then at home, my parents were were very adamant about education. So we went to
Mhm.
predominantly white schools, Catholic schools. I'm one of the few faces of color in the room. That's
Mhm.
weird growing up, right? Going through adolescence into middle school into high school is awkward in different scenarios. I had great friends, I was popular, but right, there's just that thing that's missing. And in
Mhm.
my home, my community, I said it was diverse. A lot of my friends.
Long, yeah. Long, and it's Long Island as
Yeah,
opposed to one of the like urban stereotypical places in New
Right.
York. Uh-huh. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even in my neighborhood, like, right, it's considered like the suburban hood, right? So my hometown,
Uh-huh.
probably, right, a lot of diversity, Hispanics, blacks, whites, Asians.
Yeah.
And I felt isolated from my friends because they're all going to public school. They're all wearing, they're talking a certain way. They have,
Regular clothes.
they have
Yeah.
regular clothes. I'm like in church clothes all the time, right? They got Jordans on. I got penny loafers. It's
Uh-huh.
hard to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to connect that way. So I'm finding all these pieces of evidence of, man, I don't belong here. And I just kind of retreat within myself. And there's a lot, and that, I would say that moment set me up for different things of, well, I want that. I want to ask
Hmm.
for that, but like in the back of my mind, like little Alex, like, well, who am I to ask for that? I'm not even in the picture. I'm not important. My voice doesn't
Hmm.
matter. That's the conclusion it came to, and it's tough to live that way because across all these different spectrums. I'm struggling in school academically, but I'm not asking for extra tutoring or help.
Hmm.
There's girls I like, I'm attracted to. I would love to take them out, but like I don't have the courage to ask them out on a date. Like, well,
Wow.
I want to go play
Yeah.
this sport. I want to go play this position, but like I'm not asking for that. So all these things, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Well, I'm not good enough to get that, so I'm not going to ask for that, and they wouldn't give that to me anyway. So I'm in this circle. This is all me. This is all happening in
That's
Alex's
right.
world. This is my loop, my
Hmm.
endless loop, and finding all this evidence, collecting like a policeman, right? I've like, all right, exhibit A. I've got this warehouse, right? A
Hmm.
storage unit in my brain of, oh, this is when I messed up here, and this is where she didn't like me there, and this is where I got disrespected or bullied here, and
Wow.
it compounds, and eventually it's hard to keep all that in, and it blows up in different ways. It blows up.
That's deep. That's deep. And let's make a pivot here
Yeah.
because I've just been listening and my brain has been going and you're dropping gems here. And this is just my perspective, but you've almost in a way described the perfect ideal pathway for a person to set themselves up for a victim mentality, even if unintentional, as well as creating false narratives that could potentially hold a person back. And so when you continue to kind of go down this rabbit hole, starting all from the age of 6, such a sweet, innocent, pure age, but the way our brains aren't developed and how you could think one thing when it was totally the opposite led you down this road in spite of having this family, a support system set up there. In what ways did it shape your identity on a more destructive path? And how did you find your way out of it into living the life that you have now?
Yeah, I would say like on the destructive path, a couple of things I mentioned before, just like not asking for the things I want, not
Hmm.
pursuing different ambitions. I've loved writing, love music, but that confidence, right? I call it a
Yeah.
confidence bubble. We're born with an abundance of it, and as we get conditioned and programmed and experience in life, it starts to shrink. Well, that 6-year-old moment, right? That photo made that bubble go like super small,
Yeah.
like like a dwarf. And
Real quick, Alex, I don't mean to cut you off, but I do have to ask this. When you were going through all of that lack of confidence, was it apparent to everybody else around you, or did they not recognize it?
I think it was apparent.
Oh,
It's challenging. It's hard for me to say. I think that folks could sense that something was wrong, but like no one knew how to bring it up or know or
oh,
didn't have the tools themselves of how to help me
got you.
deal with these
Okay,
things. And unfortunately, some of those things are like, well, we don't talk about that. Like those things just not in people's awareness, not to knock my parents. And I want to say it again, I had a
of
great
course.
childhood. They raised me great.
Yes,
I was
I
loved and
understand.
supported. We laughed. I mean, there's so many great moments of my life, but I also that lens of like I hold on to this thing because like that's
Mm-hmm.
what connected with me or disconnected. And the destructive path, led me to, using and abusing drugs as a teenager into young adulthood. It led
Mm,
me to isolating myself and being depressed, and I was never diagnosed or saw any specialists for that. But going through college and learning psychology, psychology was my major. I picked that major because I wanted to figure out like what is wrong with me, like why on paper everything is set up for me to succeed. I've got two parents. I've got a home. I don't have
mhm.
abuse in my home. I don't have any type of, there's no violence. Nobody's in gangs. Nobody's hooked on crack, right?
Yeah.
The traditional thing, like, my mom was in jail. My dad was in. No, I had every advantage. Like, I have a life
Mhm.
that people would kill for, like, to be
Mhm.
real. And I'm unhappy. Like, what is wrong with me? That's the question that was running through my mind. And I got some different answers, like what was going on chemically and all these different things. But that destructive path was me just believing I was on my own. I didn't have God in my life. I was super atheist. Like I just like
Mm.
I don't want to even hear about, and like I so I'll share this with you. So I used to write a lot of rhymes, like in lyrics and poems. That was
Mhm.
my real outlet. That was the
Mhm.
only thing I could really feel like I could say what I wanted to say without anybody judging or questioning or asking like, hey, why do you write, like, no, it's my creative space. And I remember I would, have these kind of conversations with God. And I wouldn't even write his name. I would just write like a symbol because I was so disgusted.
Mm.
Right. And this is, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but this is just where I was coming from.
Yeah.
So that destructive path, it was just me in my world. That's the best way I could describe it. It was just me in what I call like my black cloud of kingdom. I'm the
Oh.
king, and it's just a lonely place, and I have dominion, and I would keep people at arm's length all the
Mm.
time.
My gosh. And not even realizing, Alex, that that time of your life was just a setup for something so incredible in
Yeah.
creating the life that you have now. And so take us to that moment or moments of when that dark cloud lifted and when the sun began to shine in your life again. What sparked that? And then how did you then pivot into saying, you know what? Now that I've gotten healing for myself, let me spread this message to others and focus specifically in helping executive Black men.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. You know, I shared this on the stage a bit where
Okay.
that, sometimes it takes just one person can change your life, one
Mhm.
conversation, one relationship, one person. And for me, that came as a result of this thing called MySpace.
Oh, yes.
I
You took it
had,
back.
yeah, it takes it way back. Like, hey, yo, little buddy, listen,
Yeah.
connected with this young lady who was in the next town over from me, and we
Mhm.
started this, banging out. And by January 2006, we had become an item, and I shared that because all these years later, she became my wife, mother of my
That's your wife.
kids. Yeah.
Oh, that's how you met your wife.
My wife, good old MySpace. So thank you, Tom, and the top eight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And audience, please know when I do my podcast screenings, I ask for surface stuff. So my reactions are real. I didn't know that's how
yeah,
he met his wife.
yeah,
Continue. Go ahead.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So she was really one of the first people who poured a lot of encouragement into me. And
Oh.
it's different because I don't know, I was at a point where I was ready to listen. I think that was the thing. I was coming to a place where I was just frustrated. I was tired of living the life I was living every night, every weekend, living to get higher, get drunk with my friends, talk a lot, not walk a lot in terms of like back up with action. Like, hey, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And like nothing happens. We're just the same. It's the rerun, the same thing over and over, week after week. And she
Mm-hmm.
helped me interrupt that. And she saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself at the time. And that was really the first catalyst of her helping me remove myself from some of these negative folks and environment. And they're my boys, and I still say hi from a distance. But I recognized like, hey, I needed to get away from these people, and she was really the first one that kind of introduced me to entrepreneurship. I never had thought about
Mm,
entrepreneurship, and then that's a long story behind that, but just kind of fast forward into 2016, where I got my first introduction to coaching and professional speaking. I was working a job, and that was their target audience, professional speakers, marketers, coaches. So my whole day was always going on websites or going to conferences. And I was just blown away. I'm like, whoa, this is what I've been looking for. Right. Even when I studied psychology in school, like I think I was really looking for coaching, but I just didn't have a name for it. I didn't know that
yeah.
world existed. And with that, I'm like, wow, the, um, this thought of, well, taking responsibility for my life, recognizing like, oh, I'm not a victim. I have ownership in here, or I'm not always just the way I'm supposed to be, right? I'm not default. I actually have
Mhm.
control and design. And these ideas were never in my awareness. It was always
Yeah.
just, hey, children are meant to be seen, not heard. Do what you're told, work hard, get a job, get married, die. And that was the blueprint. And I didn't think that
Mhm.
there was any other possibility. And once I got into that world, right, thanks to Sarah and thanks to the work I've done with myself, right, with podcasts, with investing in myself, coaches, conferences, books, like, you name it, I've been doing it.
Mm,
And over time, that slowly chipped away. And then as you get inspired by something, it's a natural thing to just share with people and not trying to be like high and mighty on my soapbox, like, hey, I changed my life. You better change your life too. It's like, no, just come along with me for the journey. If anybody's been following me on social media, I've had my great days and my not so great days.
yep.
And at the end of it, I always come back to this power of choice. When I was a young kid, young boy, I didn't recognize there was a choice. I thought this is just how it is. And now
Mm,
being a man, recognize like, oh, I have a lot of agency, I have a lot of dominion over what happens in my life. And yes, there's gonna be acts of God that happen, but for the most part, I'm a small G God. I'm a little God.
mhm.
I have to control what I allow in my field of awareness, my consciousness, and I get to, right, and this is a keyword, right? This is part of language. I get to do all these things versus I have to. There's
That's right.
obligation. Oh, I should be doing that. Like I judged myself for years with that. And let me tell you, it's like walking with concrete around your legs
Mhm.
and carrying an anchor and a boulder and trying to go uphill. Good luck. You can do it. I think we can do anything, but I found it a lot easier to have other people with me, to have a strong network of folks supporting me. And then when I started working with Black executive men and other people, leaders of color, seeing that, like, wow, where's your community? Where are your people? Who's
Yeah.
who's helping you? It's like, well, I don't need any help. Like, okay,
Wow.
I'm sure
Everybody
you
needs
don't.
some help. That's right. Uh-huh.
I'm sure you don't.
Yeah.
We all
Yeah.
need we all need somebody.
And talking about help, specifically with the men that you've coached over the years, and I've been in the coaching space for years. And to be quite honest, and for anybody else watching or listening, I don't want anybody who's a coach to take offense to this. But I had someone to tell me who's been in business over 50 years. He said to me recently, he said, "You're more than a coach." He said, "There's so many coaches out there now." Alex, you and I were coaching before it became popular. During the pandemic, so many coaches popped up, and coaching in the United States is not regulated. So technically, you don't have to be certified or licensed or anything like that.
Yeah.
But my point is for you, Alex, and the work you do, it goes beyond coaching, in my opinion. You're more than just a coach. And it's not to disparage anyone who uses that. I used to always use the word coach a lot. I've kind of rebranded myself in a sense too, because it goes deeper. And so, in your work with these executive black men through your consulting, through your coaching, through your mentoring. You do everything. Even with your psych background, you might be doing a little bit of therapy too behind that, which is not what a coach does. But
Yeah.
what is, do you think, an overall consensus of one of the greatest needs or concerns that they come to you with?
Yeah. It doesn't start off this way, but underneath it is what this is like. So the surface level,
Mm-hmm.
it'll come out as, yeah, I'm looking to get promoted, or I feel like I'm not getting an opportunity to advance the way I
Mm.
want to. Okay. But underneath that is really these questions of like worthiness. Like,
Ooh,
am I worth
my
this?
God.
Do I have enough value to offer? Am I deserving of these things? And then underneath that, we have to go into that question that is in all of our minds sometimes. It's like, what is wrong with me?
Mm.
And I got to start with the foundation with them, right? We got to clean the slate of there's nothing wrong with you.
Yup. Yes.
And sometimes that takes a while to get through to really sink in because no, Letha, you don't understand my background. You don't understand my story. Like,
Mhm.
I'm here for the story, share it, and then I'm gonna help you do something that I had to do for myself. I'm gonna help you become a gold digger. I'm gonna help you sniff out all the gold and extract that from this muck and mess that you say your life has been, or these challenges you grew up with. There's gold in there. And when we see it, right, I helped this one individual. We were talking about their accomplishment. They had a military background, and you're like, well, I want to go in here. I want to like branch off as an entrepreneur, but I don't know because I only have done this, and this is my track record. I'm like, okay, let me tell you something. And so everything they share with me is for like almost a resume style, right? I
Mm-hmm.
reflected back to them like, hey, you're the person that people go to when hell's breaking loose. You're the voice in the calm. You
Mm-hmm.
told me that, right? I just like blah, regurgitated it right back to them. And
Mm-hmm.
they were like, oh my God, I never seen myself like that before. Yeah. Because you're in the
Mm.
frame. You not that you're silly, not that you're dumb, not you're stupid, but you're emotionally attached to these things. You're hanging on to these vines, and I'm over here as an explorer, and
That's right.
I'm hacking away. I'm like, man, this is you don't need this.
Yeah.
Look at all this fruit you have. Look at all these blessings. Look at all this gold you have. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, it's just weeds. It's just muck. It's just fool's gold. It's false. Like, no. We have to take control of your narrative, right? Because your story matters, your voice matters, and let's use that to amplify the work you do and the work that you're going to do and the difference you make. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's where, as men of color, as people of color, we have, historically, it's in our, we can get to the psychology of things,
Mm-hmm.
but historically, it hasn't been safe for someone like me or you to
Mm-hmm.
be intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, that could get you killed literally. Like, I think about that Chris Rock joke years ago where he's talking about a slave driving and he's coming to an intersection and he's not sure if he should stop. And he's like, he sees the stop sign and like whatever, there's an accident happens. And the master's like, hey, why didn't you stop at that stop sign? He's like, oh, you mean that octagon thing? He's like, who taught you octagon? Right?
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
So
Because
that's
he can't read and then
yeah,
to
you're not
know the
supposed to read.
shape and all that. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so these things of muzzling and
Mm.
stifling our black brilliance in order to survive, in order to pass and just kind of fly under the radar. That's really
Mm.
what's at the source of it. Like, is it okay for me to be brilliant and be great? And I say,
Wow.
yes, you can.
And so how do you, if you're showing clients and then on stages you're speaking up and you're standing out, Alex, how do you exhibit that in your daily life? How do you as Alex speak up and stand out?
Wow. I mean, there's so many opportunities for me. What I choose I do a daily podcast, a daily 3-minute podcast called Love
Mhm.
Serve Care. So it's my opportunity to share some different insights and help connect. Honestly, it's really more of an audio diary at this point because
Mhm.
there's so much that happens with conversations or interactions and just different circumstances that I find inspiration through. So that's one path. Maybe it's posting something on social media, but the 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 bulk of it, I would say, is just honestly just being a good person. And I want people to hear this: being a good person, not doing good works, not
Mhm.
performing, not helping somebody, and then like taking the selfie, like, look how many people I help, like, look, I'm a good
Yeah.
person. I, that's okay if you want to bring awareness to a cause, but I'm fine with flying under the radar and just opening the door for somebody, smiling for somebody, asking a cashier, "Hey, what's been the best part of your day?" Versus,
Yeah.
"How are you doing?" "I'm good, fine, great." But the standard, blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, the ping pong. I want to disturb the disturbance like it was done for me over and over. "Hey, what's been the best part of your day?" What? Wait, that's a different question. That's a different layer. And I don't need praise for that. I just go in where I'm at, do my best to help somebody and not be savior, right? I don't need to save anybody. I don't need to have the
Yes.
cape on my back. But
Yeah.
if it could be the simplest things, like a smile could bring somebody who's in a negative space, like, man, life sucks. People are against me. Wow, this weird guy smiling at me and he asked me what my day is like, maybe I do matter. Maybe there's some value in me, right? So
Mhm.
it's this beautiful energy exchange. And I think about what I would have wanted when I was having real challenges, real mental health struggles, suicidal thoughts. What would have been the difference to me if somebody would just been like, "Hey, man, you're doing good. Keep going."
Mhm.
Okay, I can do that, right? I can use that as a battery charger and and keep moving forward.
Wow. And what I just thought about in more of your personal life is how you as the husband and the father and in the role of leading your family and what that looks like for you all, it's still so miraculous the fact that you had the wisdom and the insight back then, even when you weren't fully, quote unquote, all put together, to see something extraordinary in your wife who loved you and met you where you were. And you had the intuition to say, I better not let her go because she could have slipped through that. But with that being said, the question I want to frame is as a husband and as a father, specifically, how are you ensuring that, yes, your wife already had a certain level of confidence, but when it comes to your children, how are you ensuring that your legacy in the form of kids are being brought up to have instilled in them that unshakable confidence?
Yeah, it's a great question. One, definitely leaning on faith,
Mhm.
and what I've focused on is just asking them, just having conversations with them.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, church was just what we did, right? We went there, but I didn't understand. I didn't really get into like that, and maybe that's part of the maturity. I don't know, but I would be present in church physically, but my mind is I'm in everywhere but here. So nothing's really sinking, nothing's landing. I think what me and my wife and I've been able to do is make sure that the kids are involved, we stay connected, and I'm
Mhm.
involved. I've been involved with student ministry in the church we're at now. We've been there for the past 3 years. It kind of right off the bat, right from the jump, they're like, "Hey, we need some male mentorship for our high school and middle school boys." All right, I'll raise my hand, and that's where I've been at. And I
Mhm.
share all that not to like, "Hey, Alex, you're such a good person." I think it's about the practicing of it. They need to see it
Yeah.
more so than what we say. Right? I can talk to them blue in the face, pick up your socks, make sure you do the dishes, do that, blah blah blah. But are they seeing dad do that? Is
Yep.
dad putting his dishes away? Is dad folding his laundry? Is dad mowing the lawn? And
Mm.
they see that. And my daughter, she's 14. She'll always mess around with me. She's like, Dad, I can see your face right now. I'm gonna get it. Right. She's like, I can see you tweak it, right?
Yes.
You can see you. But I think this is the biggest thing. That's the difference I would say of my childhood and theirs is that just keeping those lines of communication open. Now, like when they are
Hmm.
frustrated, they want to express themselves. All right, let's talk about it. What's on your mind?
Hmm.
Versus, hey,
Yeah.
I said this, you do this. There's no questions asked. Like case
Hmm.
closed. Like, and for some people, by different generations, be like, well, you kids talk back like, well, they really like, well, they're supposed to. They're leaders.
That's
They're supposed to
right.
question things. They're supposed to
Yes.
is there a better way to do this? Is this necessary? I want them to have those critical thinking skills versus, well, this is what it is. I guess I just have to follow and listen.
Hmm.
Oh,
That's ironically how I was raised, which was rare for kids growing up in the 80s and in
yeah,
the 90s. That was really rare, but that's how I was brought up, where we were encouraged to question, not be disrespectful. There's a
right,
difference,
right.
but
Yes,
we were
yes.
encouraged to question, and everybody didn't understand or like those methods. They always, certain people, even in my own family that I love, but I observed a lot as a kid, and a lot of people don't know I witnessed and heard a lot, even if they didn't think I did. And I remember some of my relatives thinking that my parents were absolutely practically insane for letting us ask certain questions or read certain books. And
Yeah,
my sister, she is an avid reader, and she was 8, 9 years old reading Alice Walker novels and books. And some relatives said, "Oh my gosh, that is inappropriate." But and so I say that because I love that that's how you and your wife are raising your children. Of course, still boundaries and age
yeah,
appropriate things, but what I'm saying is overall getting them to have faith as their foundation, but also thinking and walking into their leadership of who they are. And before oh gosh, I could talk to you forever, but prior to us getting into our closing question, Alex, tell us all about you in terms of how we can support you. If a person wants to read your book you, get coaching, all of that. Now is your time to tell us everything about you to promote what you're doing to help others.
yeah, for sure. I appreciate it. Thank you, Alethea.
Mhm.
So for anyone who's looking for additional information about me, there's two main sources I would direct you to. So one, my LinkedIn, it's the LinkedIn forward thing, and then Alex Dumas, right? So it's all there. And then you can go to my website, speakeralexdumas.com. It's all one word, no dashes. And there you'll find information as far as what I do as far as a keynote. So speak up, stand out, build unshakable confidence to amplify your impact and influence. If you have a conference or association gathering, if you're looking for either a speaker or an MC, I'm the guy to call. And that
Mhm.
book in the back, right? The Speak Up Stand Out, that's only available if you hear me speak. So that's my gift to audiences
Oh,
because
oh,
that is,
okay, okay.
that is a book of questions. And I'm a firm believer that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of questions you ask yourself. So BC, what we call it, before coaching, before connecting
Mhm.
with Sarah, my question sounded like this. Why is this like this? Why is life like that, Alethea? And I'm using a funny voice because it's like the victim voice.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Why can't I have this? And why is she like me? And like, there's nothing wrong with that. That was just how I thought. And switching it to what do I want to create? What can I do about the situation? Who can help me? What resources are available to me? That springboards someone into uh, creative thinking. So
Mhm.
speakeralexdumas.com if you want to learn about the keynote. I do a workshop series called Amplify Your Voice, so voice being an acronym, and we get into this 5-part series of how to, and it's not necessarily like physical speaking tips like, you have to project and use your
Mhm.
diaphragm, like nothing like that. It's more about, hey, what's the value you're offering? What are it's more strategic so that it's
Mhm.
not just the keynotes on the inspirational side, like, hey, I want to lift you up, get you to a higher vibration. And then the amplified voices that real work on the backside of it, like, all right, now that you have a little bit of a higher consciousness of who you are and your abilities and gifts, what are we going to do with it? How do we actually monetize that and leverage that to get you the things you want? Because it's one thing to be pumped up and woohoo and not know what to do. Now let's use that voice, let's use that mission for an intentional purpose and helping people. So that's the best way to get
Got
content
you.
from me. My podcasts are all on there. You can get the other book, A
I'll
Journey
put
of
the
Riches,
links.
The Power
Yeah.
of Self-Discovery. That's a little bit more on my personal story and life journey up to this point. And for anyone looking for a coach or a speaker, there's the links on the website for you to set up a call with me and
Mhm.
we'll talk about it, right? It's not,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna money stab you like, hey,
I
this
got you.
you gotta
Yeah.
you gotta join me now. Join my
I understand. Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
are we gonna work together? Because here's the thing I've learned that's been very important. As much as somebody's saying yes to me, I have to say yes to them
You
too.
sure do. 'Cause
Because
yes, indeed.
there's only one thing worse than a bad than no client, and that's a bad client.
Mhm.
Try
You
to
are
try
correct.
to get rid of somebody, but just look at this. Have somebody come into your house where you're like, all right, you're gonna leave now? Like, it's been a couple hours. It's been all right, it's been a day now. All right, it's been a week. Like, you need to get out.
Exactly. Squatter.
Yes.
Squatter.
Yeah.
Like,
And
no. Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna test, so that's a whole nother conversation. We've had
It
some
sure
squatter
is.
clients, like, oh my goodness, and this is not a judgment. So nobody be like, there's not judgment. It's like, wow, this
It's the
person's not really
truth.
aligned for the work or
Mhm.
the level that I'm trying to take them to. And I'm fine with referring and deferring to people in my network because it's an energetic exchange. As much as they're
Mhm.
providing with me, I'm giving them years
Mhm.
of the work I've done with myself and other people. So it's got to make
Yeah.
sense.
And then there are some people, and audience, take this also for your own life. There are even some that you wouldn't even refer to anybody. You just wish them well, take care of yourself,
You
blessings and abundance,
love
and
them from a
keep on going.
distance.
Love them from a distance. And so, as we conclude this, I have two final questions. The first one that I'm curious about is, say there's a man watching this right now who fits your ideal client, everything like that, saying, I hear him, it's well and good, but it seems like he started to transform maybe in his 20s or 30s. I'm over that. I'm already over 40.
Mm.
I'm kind of set in my ways. I know I could use some help here, but I don't know if I'm able to. What would you say to him?
Mm. I would ask that person, is what you're doing effective?
Mm,
And I don't want to take it to a good or bad, right or wrong things.
mhm,
Like, is this working for you? And if it is, congratulations, carry on. If
mhm,
you want something different, are you open to some help?
mhm,
That's all I need. If you're open, we can work. If you're like, nah, I got it, right? You can't receive of a closed hand. Same thing with a closed mind. I got it. This is why I've always done it. Okay. Best of luck to you. But if you're the
mm.
right type of person, like, you know what, I'm here, but I know I can go to a different place. I need some support. All right, now we can work.
Wow. And my last question, you are who you are now,
Mhm.
but you are walking down the street and you encounter the you at the peak of the drug habit, the confusion, and the internal chaos. You lock eyes with him and you ask him, hey, I have something that I need to tell you. what would you tell him in that moment?
Good Lord. A couple things pop into my mind. I think the thing that I would share with him was like, hey, listen, you're blessed, you're loved, and you belong.
Mm.
Your story matters and your voice matters.
Alex, your voice matters. You are an incredible human being, my brother, and it has been my esteemed honor to have you as a guest on the Power Transformation Podcast. You will continue soaring and going up from here, and I pray and hope continued abundance on you, your wife, your children, and all generations to come, and those who are connected with you. Thank you again, Alex.
Appreciate you, Alethea. This has been a beautiful conversation. And for those who are watching, those who are listening, hope you can feel her spirit, her
Mm,
generosity through the screen, because that's been my experience of you in this time that we've been able to interact. I can't wait to get to meet you in real time. But I
yes.
don't want to spoil it. Just keep on
Yeah.
checking social media. You know about
Yeah.
what we're up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been just fun. Thank you.